to our programme, The New Normal, where France 24 reporters bring you the human stories behind the headlines. This week, the economic impact of COVID on the high street, in factories, and for the tourist industry. Also coming up, Belgium is forced once again to come to terms with its colonial past. Here in Paris, the high street is open for business again. Shops slashing their prices in a bid to get customers through the door after an 8-week closure. But what about the other end of the supply chain, those producing clothes for the high street? How have they been impacted by the last few months? Our reporters in New Delhi have the story.
In this textile workshop in New Delhi, the workforce has reduced considerably in recent months. With global demand for clothing on the decline, India's garment industry, which employed over 12 million people in 2019, is facing a grave threat.
A lot of our orders have been cancelled, but the buyers have promised to take it next season. But next season means next year, and which is a big loss in itself because we have credit limits from the bank and we need to pay interest and all the money is stuck.
But just like the Indian government, Nikhil Tukral too believes that businesses will have to evolve in order to survive.
There was a lot of requirement of PPE kits in India and abroad. I think fashion business is not going to happen as smoothly as which was happening last year. So this is another opportunity in which we are able to make our people get work.
And the picture isn't exactly rosy in other sectors too. This mall in New Delhi was shut for 3 months. They have just reopened to a new reality.
Usually what we do is that we are having the temperature checks done outside the periphery of the building. As we come in, the shoes get sanitized on the mat, which is right there.
Shopping is no longer what it used to be. The mall has seen its footfall drop from 50,000 customers a day to 5,000 a day now.
Not seeing the mall so empty at all. This is not a pretty sight for a mall developer. So the guests who are now coming in are not window shoppers. They're not browsers. They're serious shoppers.
The reality is hard to ignore. Outside, coronavirus cases are spreading faster than ever before. But with India's economy expected to shrink by 10 to 20% in 2021, staying shut is no longer an option.
In Argentina, factory workers have also been hit hard by the crisis. Thousands of people have lost their jobs. Some, though, have come up with a radical plan to stay in work, seizing the means of production. Our reporter Matilda Guillaume has been to a biscuit factory where staff have closed the doors, prevented their bosses from coming in, and turned the place into a cooperative.
When the pandemic reached Argentina, workers at the Nerva biscuit factory had not been paid in 10 months, deceived by their boss. During the lockdown, they seized the means of production and now occupy the premises 24/7 to prevent the owner from taking back the machines.
To reclaim the factory means hope, bringing money to our homes, producing, being able to sell, and to run the factory. The only thing we want is to work.
The profit from sales is distributed equally. Labor organization is horizontal.
Now we are all equals. There is no more chief, no more boss. So we all pull together so that we get ahead together.
Nerva's factory workers are now waiting for the legal authorization to keep on functioning as a cooperative. A few miles away, Pharma Co-op is the first pharmaceutical laboratory in the world to have been recovered by its workers after its bankruptcy 3 years ago. During the pandemic, they have added the production of masks and hydroalcoholic gel to their usual activities. And now they are about to start producing serologic tests for COVID-19.
We proved that we were capable of running a pharmaceutical laboratory, incorporating technologies, developing products. We workers make a company function. We are capable of recovering any kind of business, a laboratory, a bank, a boat factory, anything.
Considering the recent and numerous bankruptcies, as well as those to come, the example of recovered businesses is a sign of hope and could represent an alternative model for production.
Now, currently, citizens of just 4 African countries can enter the European Union: Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and Rwanda, the only sub-Saharan African country on the list. Now, why is Rwanda considered relatively safer than its neighbours? What policies have healthcare workers taken there? Our reporters in Kigali have been talking to medics.
Notre stratégie dans les jours à venir, c'est de gérer les cas qui ont besoin vraiment d'assistance médicale dans les centres de traitement. Comme ça, on peut gérer d'autres malades au niveau à domicile dans les communautés avec toutes ces structures qu'on met en place. On est dans la phase de contrôle de l'épidémie. Il y a des moyens qui sont mis en place, mais c'est une bataille de tous les jours.
Borders in Africa closed, families in Senegal are increasingly opting for staycations. That means holidaying inside the country. That's good news for Senegal's tourist industry that's been hit hard by the pandemic. Sarah Sacco has the story.
After 3 months confined at home, the Diallo family are treating themselves to a day trip. For the first Saturday in a long time, they've headed out of the capital to an amusement park 60 kilometres south of Dakar, right in the heart of a baobab forest. It's a welcome breath of fresh air for these Dakar residents who usually holiday in France, where part of their family lives.
We decided that for now we would wait and see how things go, see if the borders open, and for plane tickets to be cheaper because, unfortunately, the airlines are making up for lost time with their prices, and the country has things to offer, so we might as well stay here and make the most of it.
Stay-at-home holidays or staycations are a blessing for tour operators hard hit by the health crisis. At Red Basalt Lake, known for its pinkish water 30 kilometres outside Dakar, tour guides haven't seen a foreign tourist in months. But thanks to affordable day trips at around €30 and locals eager to get outside, Maguette Nyong has managed to jumpstart her business again.
Since the coronavirus, it's our first day out. After that, we'll offer other activities. We're going to go to Saloum Island, St. Louis, and more to help the locals discover our country, Senegal.
But can the stay-at-home holiday trend revive the tourism sector? The Senegalese Tourism Promotion Agency is certainly counting on it.
We're hopeful, especially when we see young people's input, especially on social media, where everyone is posting selfies and their tourist experiences in different parts of the country.
The stakes are high, though. According to the agency, Senegal's tourism industry has dropped by 70% since last March, compared to the same time last year.
For our last story, let's step away from the global repercussions of COVID-19 and look at one of the other big issues in the world at the moment, and that's the racial justice movement. This is a story from Belgium, and it's about 5 women who are taking the Belgian state to court for crimes against humanity because of treatment they received as children in Congo when the country was under Belgian rule. It is a story all the more worth telling now as Belgium tries to come to terms with its colonial past. Dave Keating has the story.
J'ai l'honneur de vous informer que la commission de tutelle a décidé que nous pouvons diriger les enfants sur votre mission.
These documents date from the 1950s. Leah, Monique, Marie-Josée, Noël, and Simone have kept them for all these years. They are proof of their abduction from their Congolese mother when they were little. Their crime? Being mixed race. Under Belgian rule, these children were forcibly placed in religious institutions.
La nourriture était infecte, une véritable malnutrition. Les sœurs s'en fichaient.
And for these women, the worst was yet to come. When the Congo gained independence in 1960, while other Métis children were sent to Belgium, they remained almost left to their own devices in a particularly unstable region, Kasai.
Les milices qui étaient là pour nous garder, chaque soir, on était devenus leurs jouets.
Vous avez été violés?
Avec des bougies.
Belgium implemented this abduction policy because it feared that the Métis would rise up against the colonial order. This tragic story was revealed decades later. Afterwards, the Belgian government apologized in 2019. But this isn't enough for Leah and her 4 childhood friends who are seeking redress. With the help of their lawyer, they decided to bring the Belgian state to court for crimes against humanity.
Ce sont des vies qui ont été totalement brisées et il n'y a pas de réparation possible. Mais il n'y a pas non plus qu'un dommage moral à demander.
Leah, Monique, Marie-Josée, Noël, and Simone are asking for 50,000 euros each. But beyond this sum, it is above all a response that they demand from the Belgian state.
Now, these kinds of crimes weren't particular to the Belgian state. They also took place in parts of French colonial Africa. And we have a special report on France 24 on this very issue. It's a documentary from our reporters team. It's already out, and you can catch it on our website. That's it for this week's episode. Thank you very much for watching. And there is just time now to return to where we started, the new normal on the high street, as shoppers tentatively start spending again. Take a look, and we'll see you next week.